Shakespeare to be censored in Florida due to Don't Say Gay law. Don't Say Gay, the law that restricts instruction of LGBTQ+ identities and sexual content in schools, was expanded in March to cover a greater age range. As a result, Hillsborough County School District has announced it will now only teach excerpts from some of Shakespeare's most famous works, such as Macbeth, Hamlet, and Romeo and Juliet, to avoid any violation of the law. Saraya Haddad, a Ph.D. researcher at the Shakespeare Institute in Stratford-upon-Avon, has warned that teaching only excerpts from the bard's works will take Shakespeare out of context and rewrite literature history. It's been reported that the raunchy content of Shakespeare's works drove the decision by Hillsborough County to teach only extracts. But Haddad notes that the queerness is also very much present in his plays. She said they often call it early modern drag or Elizabethan drag because it was men on the stage dressing up as women. Haddad believes queer youngsters must study Shakespeare in full for them to see that gender fluidity and diversity have always been present. She believes this decision will have an elitist effect as despite the school districts suggesting students can read the bard's works on their own time, they will remain in school media centers. Many won't be able to understand Shakespearean language without the help of a teacher. This goes against everything that I believe as an educator, especially as an English teacher, or have ever been taught.
Historically correct.
You know, it goes down to Shakespeare plays with gender on so many levels, not the least of which is addressing very personal, heartfelt things to his male lover. Mm-hmm. How can you ignore this when you're talking about literature? It's essential to understanding what was going on in Elizabethan England, what was going on in the plays that he wrote.
It's like changing Mona Lisa's smile because she looks like she's smirking at you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't do that kind of stuff. And what are you going to do? You're going to teach people Christian Cliff Note version of Shakespeare? Like, that's not going to work. The reality is that the reason that they want to throw this out is why? Because it was really gay, and that's it.
Yeah, but the people who want, the whole group of people who want to throw this out or whatever, they don't care about the queer history. That's exactly the point.
Or
they
black
want to erase
history,
us. They want to erase us
history.
Here, in the past, in the future, period.
Or women's
But these are
exactly.
major plot points that you have to have in order to fully understand the play or the poem. It's not just, you know, taking out a line. It's taking out major plot.
You know, what's very distressing to me on the story, in addition to the points that you all make, is the issue. We remember the movie Shakespeare in Love, Academy Award winning, and the movie takes so many liberties of what it would have been like in Shakespeare's time in presenting the plays. With a woman doing it. Completely unacceptable. We cannot have women. And it pokes fun at the idea that in that time period it was acceptable to say, okay, no women. In this story, it's interesting, almost 500 years later, we're sitting here going, it's acceptable to reject a whole class of people. And there's just irony of the ridiculousness of this because politicians and people that should not be involved in the arts are making decisions of what should go on in the arts, and that's never a good thing.
And education.
And in education. And one other thing that I think is really terrible in this story, if Hillsborough County, we kept calling it Hillsborough County, but this is one of the 20 largest metropolitan cities in America.
Yeah.
It's Tampa. This is impossible. We're not talking about some podunk Iowa town. I dish on Iowa all the time because they're podunk ridiculous. Not Tampa. And in this instance, what's sad to me is the students of this, 16th, 17th largest school district in America, they can't read this, which is your point, much less if they were going to do Shakespeare in a theater department in a high school and say, let's do it the way it was presented, all men in drag, which is exactly the way it was written.
That's right.
And performed, and we can't do it nearly 500 years later. are we progressing in the right direction?
No, we are not.
No, we're not.
I just don't think so.
No, we're not.